I started doing freelance animation around 2009 or 2010 while living in the Denver, Colorado area. I started using 3D Studio Max. Later, I moved into Cinema 4D as my primary 3D animation program and early versions of Photoshop and Flash for my 2D animation. Eventually, all that would lead me up to using Blender as my primary 3D animation, and I'm trying to work over into using it for 2D animation. However, right now my 2D animating program that I go to the most is Krita. Here's a closer look at the animations I've made over the past 6 years.
Who hit the emergency evac button?
Oh, that would be me, sir. Droid number 12345. Station to
Early
you.
attempts to assimilate my webcomic Space Farmer into an animated series taught me a lot about organizing my projects, what works for me and what doesn't. After 2 more episodes of Space Farmer, I was anxious to jump into 3D animation. Rita Feature 2020 was my homage to the old horror classics from Hammer Films. This allowed me to practice and hone 3D animation skills that I had to develop using an unfamiliar high-end animating program, Cinema 4D. I had no previous training in C4D, so I used various scene changes which helped me practice 3D techniques by pushing the edge of my knowledge on this new software. The scratchy film effect and dramatic lighting were a nod to the eerie atmosphere of Hammer Films' heyday. The codecs used for a scratchy film effect did not stand the test of time though, so the video appears somewhat pixelated. I did love the final output as far as the first project goes though.
Look over there.
The next project I dreamed up was inspired by the song Evil Robotic Unicorn. I liked the tune and it became the heartbeat of this
Looks
animation.
like he's got a horn.
Though the timing wasn't perfect and the visuals were on the crude side, the humor and lightheartedness was there.
He's a robot.
A robotic unicorn?
This project got me more into
What's he
weaving
doing?
musical soundtracks into my animation. Added
going after that
soundtrack music
person.
helped rhythm and melody amplify the energy of the story.
Maybe he's an evil robotic unicorn.
An evil robotic unicorn?
My next project was The Cookie Thief. It let me explore a new rendering technique to get a 2.5D animation look. It also got me introducing voice actors into my videos, albeit for this video, it was only one line, but it helped set the beginning of the story. Big props to my future wife for the voice of the mother in this video.
When the sugar cane time, long about you, I'll be walking with sugar.
My next video was The Happy Cowboy, a musical concept where I wanted to bring characters to life as if they were traditional marionette puppets. Adding on-stage set changing helped me break through the fourth wall. Going back to the 2.5D look, my next project was inspired by an old folk tale. I explored more surreal backgrounds, focusing on style rather than realism. This was also my first real attempt at narrating my projects. Next came Space Mystery, my spoof of the 60s TV classic Star Trek. I gave the characters some cheeky twists like replacing Mr. Spock with Mr. Bing. The ending will make you ask yourself, what is that thing? My next video was House. This project was a creative risk that blended two distinct styles. I started with real photos of abandoned buildings I'd taken while urban exploring. Using them as the foundation for the whole thing, I then brought stuff to life by adding overlays of hand-drawn animation. The illustrations ranged from scribbling rough to childlike, adding surreal energy to the scenes. It was an experiment in contrast that I felt paid off in the long run. I wanted to do a sequel to my earlier animation, The King of the Cats. My children always loved the stories I invented about the King of the Cats, and I wanted to bring at least one of those tales to life. This project allowed me to experiment with a blend of traditional hand-drawn animation, motion graphic illustrations, and elements of 2.5D animation. It was the perfect opportunity to push creative boundaries while revisiting memories from my past. Over the next 4 months, I created 2 more animations in the style of my earlier project, House. The first, Store, was released in May 2022, followed by Asylum in August of 2022. These projects introduced a recurring character I called Shady. The scribbly designed character became the creative muse for this series of animations. I fell in love with this technique and I knew I'd explore it further in future projects, but before that, I decided to shift gears and focus on creating a couple of animations for my family. My next 2 videos were created for my grandson, who was just beginning to learn his ABCs and numbers. Knowing that infants and toddlers up to around 3 years old are drawn to vibrant, energetic visuals, I decided to focus less on polished animation quality and more on creating something fun and engaging. My priority was to make it entertaining for my grandson, and of course, to ensure it was still better than Ed. I brought back my Shady character in my next video, Ritual. The haunting visuals I captured on camera in Gary, Indiana, included the iconic decrepit church featured in numerous Hollywood horror films. The trip to Gary motivated me to explore Shady's world once more, and I utilized color contrast to amplify the atmosphere. The result came out all right. Pizza Cat came next. He sparked my imagination the moment I laid eyes on this round, chubby cat model that was so delightfully simple. I knew I had to feature him in a video. From there, the idea of a pizza-obsessed cat was born, and I added the characters Tony, the pizza store owner, and the stoner delivery guy. It gave me a chance to bring more personality into the story and an opportunity for me to practice different voices.
Yeah, we got sausage. I can do extra cheese, sausage, yeah, extra sauce. Okay.
Just Dance is a project that I still love watching. The soundtrack by the artist Latasha sparked my creativity and challenged me to start experimenting with Mixamo, an online service offering animated cycles for various 3D biped models. Instead of spending months modeling characters or trying to develop a concept for a character to use, I decided to put Mixamo models to the test. Back to Pepperland holds a special place in my heart as it let my imagination roam freely in the vibrant, psychedelic world inspired by the film Yellow Submarine. The idea grew from the iconic opening line of the song Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, where they sing, "It was 20 years ago today." Okay, the project became a harmonious blend of 2D and 3D animation, paired with indie musicians whose style I thought perfectly captured the psychedelic groove of the Beatles era. I went old school with Spider-Woman, creating a fully hand-drawn animation inspired by the spiritual themes from the Book of the Hopi by Frank Waters. To honor the Hopi lore, I embraced a primitive aesthetic, designing the characters to reflect their traditional personification as described in their stories.
The beast called out, alerting his queen of the approaching strangers. She looked down from the citadel, where she had been sentenced for an eternity of servitude to her god.
I wanted to use the online service Mixamo again to create Cthulhu. This video was inspired by the variety of characters available on the Mixamo platform. I set out to craft a story based on the provided selection of models they had, and the result was a script set in an alternate time and place where a demonic female shaman summons the legendary creature from H.P. Lovecraft's mythos, Cthulhu. I wanted to dive deeper into practicing and studying rigged characters for animation. In the meantime, I decided it was time for another Shady video, this time centered around the theme of school.
Classes will begin in 15 minutes.
Roboted follows the daily lives of small robots navigating a large circular maze. The idea was sparked by a 3D maze model I found online, which inspired my vision of these robots scurrying about it. In one scene, a robot takes a break, eats what I imagined as robot food, and begins to nap. While asleep, he dreams of a boy flying over a hill toward a farm. The dream shifts to the boy at the end watching a large mechanical duck flying across the sky. This was all a nod to a UFO I witnessed as a kid. For my next project, I set out to emulate the stop-motion techniques made famous by Terry Gilliam, Monty Python fame. I added my own comedic twist with an homage to 1950s sci-fi movies in The Butt That Ate Indianapolis. To capture the aesthetic of the era, all scenes were rendered in black and white, reflecting the distinct look and feel of a classic 50s cinema.
This one is an animated, brought to life, enormous butt.
My take on the popular 1960s television show Milton the Monster reimagines the kids series with a much darker, creepier twist. In my version, Professor Weirdo, the fatherly figure from the original program, is surrounded by nightmarish creatures brought to life by his assistant, Count Kook. And this time, the story does not have a happy ending.
And Earth and Ed Broadcast Productions presents
By this point, I'd grown confident enough using rudimentary rigging on 3D characters in Cinema 4D and decided to revisit my old webcomic, Space Farmer, this time with a 2.5D approach. With improved skills at adding sound effects and incidental music, I was pretty happy with Space Farmer Episode 1, Episode 2, and Episode 3. I was well into creating Episode 4 when my computer punked out.
Point taken.
I was faced with the daunting task of retrieving all the files from the dead system. I'd done this plenty of times before and I hated it. Therefore, I decided to abandon the whole series. My video Coven was another turning point for me. I was equipped with a new powerful computer, so I decided to venture into using Blender, a new leading, rapidly evolving 3D animating program out there. So this first project, it's a chilling horror story inspired by the idea of alienated communities in the Heartlands, intertwined with witches, sacrificial rituals, and the harrowing consequences of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. My current project, Inquiry, is a space mystery delving into the soul, the birth of sentience within an android, and the realization of the true meaning of loneliness. I'll continue to use Blender and stumble my way through to learn it as I need it. Better Than Ed is more than just a catchy phrase to me. It's my tribute to Ed Wood, a filmmaker who, despite his limitations, poured relentless passion and determination into his work. Like him, I'm driven by the desire to tell stories. For me, it's not about being the best. It's about being better than I was yesterday.